we are going to go through a series of movements to help down-regulate our nervous system, to get our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest system turned on a little bit more, to help get us out of the constant fight or flight, elevated stress system that we're in. So ideally, in a perfect world, we're going to be able to sit on the ground comfortably. When that isn't possible, either because you can't get comfortable there or it's not reasonable for your environment, a chair is absolutely acceptable. You still need your feet to be able to be firmly planted on the ground. So we're going to use whatever props we need to be comfortable in this position. So if I need a pillow under my hips, or I need some type of a support under one or both knees in order to be comfortable in this position, we're going to use whatever we need to. The first thing that we have to do is create a sense of safety in our body. And if we're uncomfortable, physically uncomfortable, we're never going to get to that point where we feel safe. So we're going to use props. If that means we need to be in a chair, that's fine. If in the chair we still need a pillow somewhere, totally acceptable. So I need to be comfortable physically so that I can convince my nervous system that I am safe, okay? The first thing that we're gonna do is get our visual system on board. So we're just gonna do a visual scan of our space while we remind ourselves that we are physically safe. There are no threats to our physical body in this environment. So as you're first learning this, doing it somewhere relatively safe and quiet is going to be ideal. If that's somewhere in your house, if that's in your backyard, if it's at a park, if it's at your best friend's house, wherever that safe place is, that's where we're going to start. As you do more reps of this, as you get more comfortable, this routine by itself will help trigger that feeling of safety. So then you'll be able to do it in places where we need to introduce that. So your office at work, if you're going into a stressful meeting or coming out of a stressful meeting, going through this routine will help you reintroduce that feeling of safety once we've built some repetition with it. So again, I'm just going to visually scan my space, remind myself that I'm free of threats. We're going to get our eyes involved a little bit more because that oculomotor nerve is one of the nerves of our parasympathetic nervous system. So I'm going to bring one hand out in front of me. If this is uncomfortable, you can hold a pencil, a pen, a stick. And I'm just going to bring it towards my nose and my eyes are going to track. And again, I am creating a sense of safety and comfort. So I'm only going to come as close as feels comfortable. If coming all the way up to my nose feels uncomfortable, then I'm negating the effect of creating safety. So we're going to do 5 reps of convergence on either our finger or an object. The next piece we're going to do is move our eyes in diagonal patterns. My head is going to stay still. So I'm going to look up to the left and then down to the right. And then up to the right and down to the left. I'm going to repeat that 5 times as well. Up to the left, down to the right, up to the right, down to the left. Again, only in a range that is comfortable for you. If one of those motions creates discomfort, then we want to shorten up that range so that we don't jeopardize the feeling of safety that we're working on creating. The next piece we're going to do is a little bit of breath work, but not in a traditional sense. We're going to work on what's called a physiological sigh. So sometimes at the end of your day, we finally sit down and it's just like, oh, finally. So we're going to create that on purpose to try and get our nervous system into that relaxed state. So not a full breath, a medium breath in, out, creating that audible sigh, letting our body experience that letdown sensation as well. We're going to do 2. The next movement we're going to do is in standing, so we'll transition to a standing position. The next component to creating that feeling of safety or calming in our central nervous system is going to be rocking. So rocking, swaying, it can be side to side, it can be forward, backwards. The other option is bouncing. So if we think back to when our babies were little and we were trying to comfort them, these are the typical movements, right? You can add a little rotation to it. So again, you get to pick what feels best in your body and creates that feeling of safety, okay? So it doesn't matter which direction it is or if it's bouncing. Bouncing for me feels too active, so it's not my go-to. I like side to side swaying with a little rotation. So experiment with those movements, find the movement pattern and the movement size, right? If I start going too big and I feel like I'm losing my balance, I'm no longer creating that feeling of safety. So once we find the movement we prefer, we're going to spend about 30 to 60 seconds just letting that settle into our system, just feeling the soothing movement that creates. Again, you play around with the speed, if slower feels better for you. So once we've spent 30 to 60 seconds there, we're going to do 2 more of those physiological sighs. So medium breath in. And then we're going to transition back into our supported sitting position. The next movement series that we're going to do is going to be lying flat on our back. So again, we'll use whatever props we need to be comfortable. We're going to lie on our back. If we need a pillow, excellent. If you're more comfortable completely flat on the ground, that's acceptable too. Knees are going to be bent so that your feet are on the ground, so that they're creating that nice connection and grounding sensation. But you get to decide where that is. And if you need something to support underneath your hips or under your knees to make that comfortable, that's acceptable. If the floor or the bed being flat isn't comfortable for you, we can work through modifications because we need to feel safe. I need to be comfortable in this position so that my body stays relaxed. So we are going to work on small movements of our pelvis because one of the nerves that innervates that area also helps trigger our parasympathetic system. So hands can be where they're comfortable. If that's at your side, if that's across your chest or stomach, that's acceptable too. So it's going to be a small movement forward, a small movement backwards. So when I'm back, my back is pressing into the floor, and then I'm going to relax and let it come out. What I don't want to do is create this really dramatic arch because that starts to feel like tension in my body and negates the feeling of safety. So I'm going to tip my pelvis back, and then I'm going to relax. And we're going to do 10 of those. Again, you are the driver. Keep the motion in a comfortable range for you and at a comfortable speed. If you need to make it slower for it to feel like you're in control and you're safe, that's absolutely acceptable. Once we get through 10, we're going to do 2 more sighs. So medium breath in. The next movement we're going to transition to is rocking. So I'm going to let both knees fall to the side, and then I'm going to pull them back and go the other direction. We're creating that twist through our pelvis, our hips, and our low back. And we've already discussed that rocking is soothing to our nervous system. The same rule applies. You need to stay within a range that feels safe. If going all the way to the side creates this big stretch in my body, then I'm putting it in a protective state versus in a relaxed state. So we're going to go side to side 10 times. Remember, you get to pick the size of your movement and the speed of your movement. Once we've done 10 of those, come back to our middle position and find our comfort. We're going to do 2 more sighs. The last piece is going to be humming or vocalizations specifically to activate our vagus nerve. We can do those laying down if this is our position of comfort. If sitting is more comfortable to you, that is also acceptable. Or if you really liked standing and rocking, you can go back into that position to do your vocalizations. We're going to work on humming, but singing is also a good way to create that vibration deep in your throat, and our vagus nerve lives close to here. So we're using that vibration to stimulate our vagus nerve, which is one of the big drivers of our parasympathetic system. So we're going to take a big breath in, and then we're going to make a humming sound on our way out. We want to vocalize on our exhale for as long as we can comfortably. So not so long that you start to feel uncomfortable waiting for your next breath. Again, we need to continue to promote a feeling of calm and safety in our body. We're going to do 4 more of those total. Once we've completed 5 of those, we're going to end with 2 more physiological sighs. At this point, you are welcome to stay in whatever current position you're in. Take as much time as you need to until you feel ready to transition into your next activity. If you're doing this to prepare for sleep, roll over into your comfortable position and let your body relax into sleep. If you're doing this to start your day and you typically practice mindfulness or gratitude, or you say your morning prayers, this transitions really well into that. If you did this as a quick movement snack throughout your day to not end up so elevated and to get your body into that calmer state so that you have the bandwidth to tolerate what's coming next, maybe take a couple more deep breaths at your own pace, use your power word, and move into your next activity. We are going to start with a visual scan of our space to get our oculomotor nerve on board, that we are clear from threats and we can transition into a safe place. First movement is eye convergence. We're going to do 5 reps. Next movement is eye diagonals. We're going to do 5 reps total. Once you've completed those, we're doing 2 physiological sighs. We're going to transition into standing. We're going to spend 30 seconds rocking, swaying, or bouncing. We're going to finish with 2 sighs. And then transition into lying on our back. Lying comfortably on your back, using whatever props you need. Feet are grounded into the floor. We're going to start with small range pelvic tilts. Backwards until my back meets the floor, and then relax forward. We're going to do 10 of those. Two more. When you're ready, transition into lower trunk rotation. We're going to do 10 to each side. in a range and speed that is comfortable for you. When you're done, come back to your neutral resting position. We're going to do 2 sighs. We are going to transition into humming. You may stay lying down or transition into sitting. We're going to take a deep breath in and hum on our exhale for 5 reps. One more. We're going to end with 2 more sighs. Take whatever remaining time you would like before you transition into